Welcome everybody to the season finale. This is the end of season one for us. We're going to do kind of a season recap, kind of all the takes that we had throughout the season. As always, we are your Frame brothers here on the Take Two podcast here every Tuesday night. I am Jameson Frame, accompanied by my brother Reed Frame, here to talk all things football. So, like I said, season finale of season one for those who have been with us since the beginning. Great time. Love to be here. Happy that everybody's here. If you like this kind of content, leave us a like, drop us a comment on things you want us to talk about. We're always looking for new ideas, um, stuff that you enjoy listening us argue about or just conversate about and whatnot too. But we're gonna dive into things that we got correct this year, things we got incorrect. We'll go over some funny hot takes that we had and kind of how those panned out, as well as we'll kind of go over the divisions and see how they panned out versus how we predicted them. So, without further ado, I think we'll jump right into it. We got a lot to unpack here in this last episode. We'll try and keep it to the normal time and not go too far over. So, Reed, do you want to kick us off with your thoughts on the season and or something
Um,
you got right or wrong?
well, I think the season itself, regular season, it was a surprise, and I think every year it has its surprises. But I feel like this year was very interesting, and I think we saw a lot of close games and a lot of games that no one thought people were going to win. I thought this year overall was just a great year for football. I think there was a lot of good games that you could have watched. One of them not being the Super Bowl. If you did watch, that was a terrible game. That was not a good game to watch. I remember Jay saying that was going to be a close game. He was 100% wrong on that one. That was not a close game. Yeah. So Super Bowl was arguably one of the worst games this year. So
Yeah, I distinctly remember saying that whichever team won, they wouldn't win by more than 7 points. That would be incorrect,
yeah, very incorrect.
extremely incorrect. I thought it was gonna be a good game. I thought it was gonna be like one of the better games of the season, just an all-out brawl, a close game, just back and forth, come down to the wire. I thought it was gonna be like a classic, and it just was arguably the worst Super Bowl to watch, if not second worst. The only other one that comes to mind was
What?
the Broncos Seahawks game.
Oh, yep. Yep.
That'd be the only other one I can think of that was that much of a blowout.
That's what I was thinking too. But that for us was fun to watch. For everyone else,
Oh,
that
for
probably
sure. As a
wasn't.
Seahawks fan, just like I think last night as an Eagles fan, I'm sure people loved watching that.
Oh,
So,
for sure. Yeah.
but to the casual fan, the people tuning in just because they want to see a good game, not what you want to see.
No, definitely not. For sure. Definitely, arguably one of the worst games of the season. I mean, even though it's the Super Bowl ads, halftime show, yeah. The actual football wasn't that good.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
We want to move into our record predictions.
We can start there. The one thing that we both got incorrect was the Super Bowl winner, right?
Yes.
You had the Lions winning it all. Obviously, they fell short. I had the Texans winning it all. Obviously, they fell well short. Um, at least you had two playoff teams making it. I guess the Packers were in it, but they weren't in it very long. So I guess technically I also had two playoff teams. So at least we didn't have like a non-playoff team just in our Super Bowl.
Yeah. That is true. That would have been embarrassing.
That
Do we
would
want
have
to
been.
start by from episode one? A little throwback.
Yeah, we can do episode one for those who have been with us since the beginning.
Yeah, so we started with NFC West. Of course, we had like the Seahawks in there, so that's why we chose them.
Yep.
Let's go with the Seahawks right away, right? Classic Homer. I had the Seahawks going 10-7, and they actually went 10-7. So I would say I'm pretty spot on, you know?
Yeah, you went one for one with the Seahawks. I'll give you that. I mean, I was close, one went off. I don't think we should go I don't think we'll spend all the time going through line by line. I
100%
think it'd be a little too much. I think
for
we'll just
sure.
kind of go for the outliers, the ones that we got completely wrong or, one way or another, or we got right. So
One we got completely wrong is San Francisco 49ers.
we both had the 49ers winning 13 or more games. They ended with six. So that would be quite the difference.
Yeah.
49ers just couldn't put it together. It was kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. Injuries, it just was wasn't great for them. I mean, the roster, if you look at the roster on paper, it's not a bad roster. It's
Yeah, but
just
other than
they,
Christian McCaffrey, I don't feel like their team was that decimated with injuries. I mean, they had
I mean,
like
Nick
the same
Bosa
amount of
was
injuries as
injured
everybody
throughout the
else.
year. Nick Bosa was in and out through the year.
All right, but that's you lose two people and your team just falls apart. Like, is that really all their team is just those two guys?
I guess so. I mean, they went to the
That's
Super Bowl last year, so
good to know for next year.
yeah. One thing I was completely off on was the Rams. You were extremely close. You were right on with your prediction. I said the Rams were going 6-11. They went 10-7. So I was well off.
Yeah, I thought I was higher on the Rams than a lot of people were. They were one of my teams that I thought were going to be sneakily good going into the year, a team to watch. I remember distinctly saying in the first episode, it pains me to say kind of how excited I am for the Rams this season and kind of what they have to deal with. So, um, I, one for me, I guess, in that category, and then for the Cardinals to kind of round out that division, we both were decently close. They ended at 8 and 9, just kind of middle of the road. You had them slightly below that. I was decently close, but nothing too crazy there.
Yeah, moving on to the AFC West. Kansas City, I would say they were actually a surprise to us. We did have them as a winning record. We didn't have them at 15-2. Um,
I had
so
them
that
at
was
14-3. I was close.
you were pretty high on them. I had them at 12-5. But that was pretty surprising to me. The one thing I find surprising is that Denver.
I think
Um,
the league found it surprising, right?
yeah, 10-7 they finished actually. Me and you both had them losing 12 or more games.
Yeah, I did. I think part of that is I was down on Sean Payton. I
He
didn't think
cooked.
Sean Payton was going to be as good as he ended up being. And him and Bo Nix are just clicking. The team is rolling. That defense is underrated. I don't know. He put the pieces together, and it's good for them. Similar to like the Steelers. Obviously, we'll get to them, but it's kind of a miraculous run. We both got the Raiders and the Chargers completely correct. Chargers went 11-6. We both had that. Las Vegas went 4-13. We both had that as well. So
Yeah,
good for us on that aspect. Sorry, Raiders fans. Is what it
rough
is.
year.
Yeah,
Rough year.
rough year for sure.
Speaking of rough year, going to the next division, I remember this episode specifically is we pooped on the Giants this
We
episode,
did. We did.
and we did it accurately. Is the word
Pretty
I'm
close.
looking
Yeah.
for. They finished 3-4. Me and Jay
14.
split the me 3-14. Yeah, my bad. I'm very sorry. 3-14. Me and Jay split the difference. I said 4-13. He said 2-15.
Right there.
We just had to center it in there a little
Should have
bit.
average that one out. The Cowboys were also the surprising one. I thought they'd kind of mess around and do what they normally do, beat up on bad teams. I thought they'd run into double digit wins. Um, they came out with 7, not as expected. But the one thing that I'm disappointed in you is you thought that the Commanders were only going to win 5 games this year. I'm
You thought they were only going to win 7.
Yeah, but this was before I made my hot take.
Mhm.
Remember, this was episode 3. Then the hot take episode was like episode 8. So between 5 episodes, I changed my opinion on.
This is what's set in stone. So
I changed my opinion, and then I ran with it.
you did. You said in 3 years, which
No, 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 no.
you said
One
in
of my
3 years
hot
they're going to the
takes.
Super Bowl.
One of my hot. That was another hot take. That one is still live. We're still doing that.
Yeah.
There's 2 years left. I said, and this is one of the ones I got correct. I said Terry McLaurin will finish as a top 5 wide receiver and have a career year. Also, Jaden Daniels would win Rookie of the Year, which he did, and the Commanders make the playoffs as a wild card team. That was one of my hot takes. Commanders made the playoffs. Jaden Daniels won Rookie of the Year. Terry McLaurin, I said he'd be a top 5 receiver. He finished as wide receiver 7. So that was dang close, but
Close.
technically incorrect. He also did have a career year, almost doubling touchdowns on the year. So I'm gonna give myself that one barely, but I did as a
Not
number
top
over
five.
5.
Not.
I did incorrectly predict it.
It's not top five.
Yeah, it's close, but apparently that doesn't count in this situation.
Nope.
Just
Yeah,
disappointed in you for hating on my Commanders.
I'm so sorry. Hope you accept my apology.
I don't.
It's great. Moving on to the AFC East. Um, Looks like we were both extremely high on the Dolphins,
Yeah, well, Tua getting hurt again always puts a damper on that, right? When
for
Tua
sure.
goes down, Tyler Huntley came in, he didn't look great. It's kind of one of those things that they can't win without a competent quarterback, and they never have a good backup. So that really shot us in the foot. We're not far off on Buffalo. The Jets are the one that I want to talk about because you you distinctly made a comment and you said, and I quote, the Jets are going to win the division. It was on a hot take that you came up with on the spot, and that was crazy.
So that don't even work out with my record predictions.
That's what I'm saying. On our hot take episode, you said I wasn't even planning this hot take, but hear me out. The Jets are going to win the division. Crazy
Yeah,
hot take.
yeah,
Didn't even
crazy
come
hot
close.
take. Was it my crazy hot take?
No, like you made it up on the spot. You were just feeling it.
Yeah, I was
It was just
feeling it
off
that
the
day,
wall, and it
man.
was not even
I was
close.
I was geeking. I was geeking.
You were tweaking, is what you were doing.
Yeah, this doesn't even fit my record predictions. Um, in my record prediction, I had them finishing third. So,
You still had them
um,
winning 9 games somehow.
that's not even that bad.
They only won five.
Yeah, they only won five, but I think a lot of people would have been with me at 9 games. It's not even that
There
bad of a
was, I
prediction.
mean, what Dan Patrick had the Jets winning the Super Bowl.
Well,
It's unreal.
yeah,
Everybody buys into the
that
Aaron
guy's
Rodgers hype.
tweaking.
This
If
is one of the
I'm
things.
if I'm tweaking, what is that guy doing?
I, this is one of the things I couldn't get behind. In that hot takes episode, I was like, I just can't see this working out. And I had the take that the Jets would struggle early on, which they did. Rodgers would get frustrated with the team, which happened. The team also got frustrated with him. I said Rodgers retires, which is still up in the air. There's still a chance that he retires. So that one's still out for bid there. And then I ended with saying that the Jets would be in shambles. The Jets are now in salary cap hell because they have to cut Devontae Adams and they have to figure out what Aaron Rodgers is doing. This team it's put them back probably a couple years now. The Jets are in shambles. I'll take another correct hot take with the Jets there too.
You go you.
I'm 2 for 2 on those. Two for
Hmm.
two.
Yeah, Patriots. We were both dead on. I had them going 3-14. You had them 2-15.
Right there. I mean, Drake May was a surprise though. I'll give him that. He
He
turned.
looked pretty good.
He came in. He might be their franchise quarterback if he can put it together under Mike Vrabel next year. So something to watch. I like the kid. Like the kid.
Oh yeah, definitely a likable quarterback. I'm a big Drake May fan. As much as I don't want to see the Patriots win for a while, go Drake May. I don't think they're gonna win for a while, so I don't think I need to be worried about that.
They could turn it around.
We'll see. We'll see next season when we do our record predictions. How about that?
There we go. There we go. Doing it again,
Yeah. NFC South, winner of this division was Tampa Bay.
which I predicted.
Yeah, you did not like this division very much, did you?
I said this division was going to be the worst division in football, and that they were going to be a team was going to win it with a losing record of 7-10. Tampa Bay won it at 10-7, so I got the team right, not the record.
Yeah, and they would have needed a winning record to win the technically, unless there was tiebreakers involved. So technically, a losing record could have gotten it. We're not going there.
Right.
I was super high on Atlanta coming into the season. I did like what I saw from them. I saw improvement from the Arthur Smith offense. I'm a huge Bijan fan. I think you know that. I think a lot of people that have watched this podcast will know that. I love Bijan, one of my favorite running backs. Still a big Falcons fan, still a big Bijan fan. I'm still high on them. They did let me down, but I still think if I had to make a prediction right now, they're going 11-6. I'm keeping the same record for next season. Right now, that's my prediction.
So you were so high on the Falcons, and I asked you to try and convince me why that the Falcons like you thought of it, and because I couldn't see it. You said the Falcons were going to finish as a top two offense.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that one.
They finished sixth, so it's not a horrible take, but it was not correct.
The point I wanted to get across with that hot take was their offense was going to improve drastically, and it's exactly
It
what it did.
did, yeah. That's what I mean. You weren't completely off base, but you were a little outlandish there.
Sometimes it's good to be outside of the box.
That it is. That it is.
AFC,
The
oh,
Panthers,
my bad.
we and Saints, we both hit dead on. We thought they were
Yeah.
going to be 5-12 teams. We were right there with both of them.
I mean, that's a pretty easy
it just kind of made
prediction.
sense. It didn't look that way with the Saints though. The first two games, I was like, oh, these Saints might be pretty good this year, and then just right back to where
I
we thought they were.
remember it was our week two review. We were like, hey, Saints are a little surprising. Then they didn't win much after that. We kind of jinxed them.
Derek Carr won the MVP race after week two.
That's why there's 18 games, not two.
That's why there's 18 games. You got that right. You got that right.
Yeah, for sure. Um, AFC South. I think you could say this is probably our least accurate division.
Yeah, we didn't know what the heck was going to happen in this division, apparently.
This division we got completely wrong. We got flipped on our heads.
Other than the
Could,
layup in Tennessee, though.
yeah, well, yeah. We both predicted the same record with Tennessee. We went 4-13. They went 3-14. We were damn close there. Everywhere else, we were 100% wrong. I would probably say.
I would I would argue to say that you were more wrong.
Yeah, I was super high in Jacksonville.
I don't know
Those
why.
I'm a big Trevor Lawrence guy. All right.
I,
And Brian,
still,
I just like the Jags. Brian Thomas, Trevor Lawrence, ETN. I'm a big Jags guy.
are you still a big believer in Trevor Lawrence? How many
No,
years? How many years are you going to give him?
I
How many?
I just said no. Just said no.
He's going to say
But I am a
he's going
big
to wait for the
believer.
third contract before he has a breakout year, or what?
No, I still believe in Brian Thomas though. That man's
Brian
a dog.
Thomas is a stud. I'll give you that.
That he's underrated. I'm gonna put it that. After this rookie season,
I mean, is he
he
underrated? I mean,
he is flooded behind the big name of Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors.
I would say he's better than Marvin Harrison.
I would 100% say that.
I would
Would
think
anyone else say that?
I think the majority of people
I would
would.
hope so. I would think Brian Thomas had a much better year than Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, I would say the consensus is that
I
Brian
hope
Thomas is
so.
better than Marv.
I would argue, I don't know. Brian Thomas Malik Neighbors is close for me, if I'm being honest. I think it's a very close matchup.
You could convince me either way.
I
I personally lean Neighbors. I'm a bigger fan of Neighbors than I
so
am of
here's
Thomas, but
here's the thing.
you could convince me.
I think we both have bias because Neighbors is on your fantasy team, Thomas is on my fantasy team, so we're like, hey, that's my guy. So we have
Right.
bias.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I'm a big Brian Thomas fan. I think you're a big Neighbors fan.
I am.
Right? So we're super high on those guys.
It's kind of
I
one of those things like you take pride in finding them. Like you take
Yeah,
a chance
because
on them
that's
and they
my
pan out
guy.
for you. So you're just like, oh, that's my guy now.
That's what makes Dynasty fantasy football so much fun.
I love it.
Kyrene Williams, whew, it's my dude. Malik
I'll
Washington,
we're getting off topic here. We'll get up, but a little insight
who
for you.
cares?
I would trade Kyron Williams right now.
I
I don't
mean,
think
got
he'll
him for a
have.
waiver wire pickup.
I don't think his value is going to go up any higher than it is currently. I think from here on out, it's going to start dropping. He's in year three, which means next year's a contract year, which means the Rams in a huge running back class would probably going to draft a guy, and they're probably going to start working that rookie in slowly. So I think this is kind of Kyron's last workhorse season.
I
So
could see it.
little
And with Blake
insight for
Corum
you,
being drafted last year,
right? I mean,
I could see
they
it.
started working Corum in, so little insight for you. If you want to do some offseason trading, Kyron might be a guy you can shop around to try and sell high on. You do you. Just a little insight, some advice, food for thought, if you will.
Yeah. What were we talking about? Dynasty leagues. Again, we've talked about this. We're going everywhere this season. Who cares?
or
Dynasty
off the
leagues are
wall.
great. Who cares? Who cares?
Bounce it. You ever take a
You can
racquetball
get.
in a closed room and you just huck it against the wall? You don't know where that thing's going.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Now
this
we're going
podcast.
way off topic.
That's
We
this
went
podcast.
from football to racquetball. We're going everywhere. Oh, where's it going now?
That's my point.
Yeah. So like Dynasty's fun because you get these guys and then you get by. So Brian Thomas, Kyrie Williams, little Malik Washington. If y'all remember that dude, that guy's a stud. Almost 2,000 yards.
Is this gonna
So you
continue
know.
through like every episode of the whole podcast, like forever? Just Malik Washington, Malik Washington, Malik Washington, Malik Washington.
So just a little backstory here. Jameson texted me this week saying, "Hey, Dynasty Fantasy Trade real quick. You give me Kenneth Walker, I'll give you a receiver. You don't have any depth at receiver.
You
Meanwhile, I
don't.
just won. I just won the championship. So I don't
You
know
need
why this
depth.
guy's giving me advice, man. I don't need that advice. I just won the chip. All right, first of all, and you're salty about that. First of all, so he's like, you don't have any depth at wide receiver. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? I got Malik Washington.
I knew you were gonna say that too. As soon as you're like, "What are you talking about?" And then I just like, "Don't you dare say Malik Washington."
That guy almost had 2K yards this season.
Yeah, you thought he was gonna. That wasn't one of your takes. It was a joking take, but you did say the
Oh,
word.
I meant, and I was damn close. I was close.
All right, let's reel this back in. Let's get back
Malik
to the.
Washington, everyone pick him up right now. No one knows about him. Pick him up. He scored a touchdown last game of the season. Just putting
That he
that out
did.
there.
That
Just
he
putting
did.
that out there.
That's your hot take for next year. I'm writing it down.
You got it.
AFC, back to the AFC South to kind of round it out. We were both wrong on the Jaguars. You were much higher on them. You had them winning 12 games. They only ended up with four. I had them winning six, so I'm not as far off. I still thought they'd do better than they did. And then you have the Colts, which we both got wrong, but you thought they were going to win four games. They ended up winning eight. Again, I went right in the middle of six, so nothing
We
crazy.
didn't talk about like the big elephant in the room with Houston.
How we both
Just
thought they were going to go
to
13
the
games
bowl.
and they won 10.
We thought they were going to the bowl.
See, the two big factors there, right? CJ Stroud had an insane sophomore slump, like one of the worst I've ever seen. And then all of his wide receivers got hurt. Literally
Yeah,
all of them.
yeah, that is true. I mean, injuries played a factor, and the sophomore slump did. Um, we should have seen it coming though. You had them winning the Super Bowl. I had them going to the Super Bowl and losing. They
I
didn't
believe
go to the Super Bowl at all. They
I
weren't
bought into the hype
close.
too much. I bought into the
We
CJ
both
Stroud had
did.
a crazy rookie year. D'Amico Ryan had put together a crazy good defense. He was an up and coming coach. They started adding Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon. They started adding these pieces together. I thought they were just going to build off of last season. I just bought into the hype. I was clouded by the flashy toys that they had gotten, all these hype videos I'd seen. You can't do it. Can't do it.
They go based off your own opinion.
I know.
Gut feeling's always right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Speaking of gut feelings, this next division, NFC South, I believe there's a quarterback in this division that I was
NFC,
high on.
NFC South? You mean NFC North?
Yeah, the NFC North. Did I say NFC North?
You said South.
Okay, my bad. NFC North. There was a
All right,
specific
so injuries don't
quarterback in this
count. I don't
division.
want. I already know what you're saying. I don't care. Injuries don't count. A JJ McCarthy would have started if he didn't get injured.
But what actually happened, I would say
He
somebody
faked an
predicted
injury.
that Sam Darnold would finish as a top 10 quarterback in fantasy. And if you go and look at where he finished ninth.
Guess what's coming? Mute. Mute.
Listen, don't be jealous just because I can predict Sam Darnold right. All right.
Dude, the only reason he's top 10 is because JJ McCarthy got hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, but I
But here's the
predicted.
thing. If you're so high on Sam Darnold, why are they going 6 and 11?
Ooh. This was before.
Mm.
So this, again, that was my hot take. So what we need to
Mm.
do next year, we'll learn on this. We're getting smarter. We got to do
Yeah.
our breakdowns in the season, but we got to wait to make our predictions until like preseason.
Oh, so we should have a whole episode for predictions.
Right. So like we did them too early. Like we did them
Mm.
So we can still break down each team and their needs and like their team build like we did. But instead of doing our prediction then, we got to wait till closer to the season starts. That way we can kind of watch some preseason games and kind of see, we can listen
I
to all the
like that.
practice reports, stuff like that. Because all my
You
opinions
guys,
changed.
mhm.
Like I got really high on the Commanders like during preseason. Like I saw the videos of like their team makeup and how things are coming together, and I bought into it at that point, not earlier on when I was looking at the roster.
For sure. Let us know how you guys feel about that. I like it. I'm liking that. Let's us get our finals like, and then it's set in stone. Now we can't have any excuses of, oh, my opinion changed, whatever this guy's talking about.
Yeah, I mean, you set your record in like July or something like that, and all of a sudden, a couple months later, the season starts. Like you got to make it closer to the season. I think
I get that. Let us know how you guys feel about that. He's saying Sam Darnold's a top 10 quarterback. He still predicted him 6-11. And so I just want to say that was literally 2 weeks later. So how much of a difference is that?
all the difference.
Okay.
Apparently,
Yeah.
apparently,
All right. Just saying I cooked with this NFC North.
um, other than the Vikings, you had them winning 4 games.
You had him winning six.
It's two more than you. They won
Yeah,
14.
but I got two perfect, so I don't want to hear it.
You
Green
did get
Bay
two.
11-6.
You
Bang
did.
out. Detroit 15-2. We're not going to talk about the Super Bowl. I had them winning the Super Bowl. Yeah, that's a yikes.
I am impressed that you predicted accurately that they'd have 15 wins. Like a 15 win season is pretty insane to have, much less predict that a team will have.
Sometimes it pays to buy into the hype.
That's yeah. You watched the right videos. I was watching the wrong videos
Yeah,
apparently.
you gotta. You broke, I'm up.
Okay. The Bears were the Bears. They were just worse than I think everybody expected. They had so many pieces and they just couldn't do anything with it apparently. I
So when's the next time the Bears you think win the Super Bowl?
mean, I feel like they'll run into a Super Bowl in the next 25 years.
But like, when do you think they're gonna? You're saying 25 years.
I don't know.
Give me a number.
I think Caleb Williams has a chance if he can develop properly to win a Super Bowl.
So we're
So
talking
next
like
10 years, maybe
2034,
9 years, sure.
2030. Write it down.
I'm not putting my stamp of approval on that. I'm saying it's a possibility. The thing is like he has weapons, right? He has weapons. He needs
He has
coaching.
good
He needs
weapons.
structure. Now he's going to be in his second different offensive scheme with his second different coach in his second year. You can't do that. Look at Trevor Lawrence. He's had how many different coaches? Look at Baker Mayfield. He's had how many different coaches? Like it's so hard for quarterbacks to get into a groove and figure out how to win games when they have so many different coaches.
So are you saying Trevor Lawrence still has a chance because he has different coaches?
Now I'm saying that his growth and development has been stunted.
So he
It
still
might
has a
it might be
chance.
stunted forever. Like this might be peak Trevor Lawrence we've already seen at this point now
It
because
might be, and I think it. But all right, Trevor Lawrence talk here. Is Trevor Lawrence a top 20 QB?
yes,
I think so. Is he top 15?
I don't know. I can't
I
confidently say that without like actually making a list, but he's
to
for sure top.
me, if he's top 15, he's 15.
He's around there. I don't want to put any.
For me, I think he's 15 or 16. And
I
I'm
can
high
make a
on Trevor
list and
Lawrence.
let you know.
I like Trevor Lawrence a lot.
Maybe I'll make a list tomorrow and I'll shoot you.
We could do it in an episode. We could do QB rankings, running back rankings, all that.
And we can start doing these in the next couple.
Let us know what you guys think. We're off season here, mock drafts, free agencies, whatever you guys want to see, we'll give it to you. Like we're looking for ideas. Give us whatever you think. We want to give you what you want to see. Just let us know.
We'll do some draft coverage coming up. The combine's at the end of the month.
Lot of drafts.
Um,
Yeah.
for all you draft nerds and scouters out there, I know I'm a big one. Yeah, the February, I think 27th is the first day of the combine for the on-field workouts. I think I'll be tuning in for that anytime I can. Turn it on as background noise, catch a catch a couple guys that I know are first round picks to kind of see how they're doing. So
Yeah, we didn't even touch on the Senior Bowl either.
the
I
Senior Bowl
mean,
or the East West Shrine Bowl
mhm. Stuff we'll definitely touch on this coming off season. I mean, it's draft time now. After this episode, we're
coming
going to draft mode.
coming to a Take Two podcast near you.
Draft.
Draft content,
Draft season.
draft season.
That's
That's start of season two.
yeah, that is.
All
Yeah,
right.
but to round out our predictions on the divisions, we're ending it at the AFC North. Um, I honestly think we did not bad on this. I mean, Cleveland, I don't want to talk about. Okay.
11-6 Cleveland, Reed.
I was high on Cleveland. I
Crazy.
thought Miles Garrett was gonna put him on his back and just make him a godsend. He didn't.
We'll also talk about him too, like potential landing spots. That was
Ooh,
crazy
that's
that
another
the
great
that's
idea.
that is
Right,
a good
start writing
suggestion.
these down.
Okay. I won't, if I'm honest.
Nah, you do you. Um, we did get it right with Baltimore. You kind of over predicted them with 15-2. Tried doing the readster with the Detroit Lions there.
I thought they were going to be a powerhouse this year. And I mean
I
they
mean,
were. I mean they were a
they
really
were
good
pretty good.
team.
Yeah,
They just ran into a couple losses that were one score games.
yeah. Yeah, I had them going 13-4. They won the division. We both thought they were. That's what I was looking at there. Cincinnati is a great surprise. I don't want to say great team. It's a great surprise. Me and you were both high on them and didn't turn out too well.
Here's the thing though, the Bengals were the best looking bad team of the season.
Oh, for sure. That
They
offense was
looked
insane.
if they would have made the playoffs, they could have done some damage in the playoffs. I still believe that.
That offense was so high powered, high score. That was a fun offense to watch.
They just couldn't get it together to start the season and just couldn't come back from it. They started rolling at the end of the season. They looked great. They had one of the best offenses in the league at the end of the season. And if they could have snuck into the playoffs, I think they could have run into at least one, maybe even two wins in the playoffs.
I agree. Um, Cleveland, like I said, I was extremely high on Miles Garrett and that whole defense. It didn't work out for me.
That's a little
Um,
too much. A little too
yeah,
much.
I'll admit when I'm wrong. Right here, I am 100% wrong. I don't have an excuse. Terrible prediction.
I'll take it on the chin for Pittsburgh. I am on record of being a Steelers hater basically all season, talking about how bad the offense looked, this, that, and the other thing. How are they winning games? How they're not going to win a single game like the second half of their season because their record or their schedule was so bad. I predicted them to have 5 wins. They got 10 wins. I owe my buddy dinner. Made a side bet with him that they wouldn't have like 8 wins, and I got to eat it.
I I now have learned, and I think you have too. Mike Tomlin doesn't lose. He doesn't have losing seasons.
That he does not. I did see a post on Instagram today, and it was a super fan, a Steelers super fan. He put out a billboard, and he called out like the owner, and he said either fire Mike Tomlin or sell the team. We're tired of mediocrity. I was like, that's pretty crazy.
True though, like
It is true that they're middle of the road every year, so they never have a high draft pick. Like they're not never good enough to like do any damage in the playoffs. They're barely good to make the playoffs half the time. It's just like you're stuck in the cycle of you need to rebuild, but you're also like a couple pieces away from competing. So you just get stuck.
it's kind of the same thing as the Seahawks. I mean, we're seeing it with the Seahawks too.
No. The Seahawks are going to win the division next year and do some damage in the playoffs. Write that down. Write it down.
I would like to see what they do in the draft
I
and
would I will take all the smoke if I'm wrong here. The Seahawks have a great schedule going into next year. I like their chances pairing up against anyone in the division. I think they can win the division, do some damage in the playoffs next year.
I gotta see what they do. As a Seahawks fan, we have struggled with bad offensive line
In John we
forever.
trust. In John we trust.
So I know we kind of, I no, we're saving that for a later date.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So I want to own up to my biggest hot take that just flopped on its face of the season. I don't know if you know where I'm going with this. I started off in our earlier episodes saying that I really liked this guy, but I thought he was overrated.
Josh Allen.
That man won MVP. I am on record saying that he was going to have the worst season of his career, that he would have career lows in yards and touchdowns and have career highs in interceptions. He did not have the worst career of a season. He won his first MVP. However, he did have his second lowest in yards and touchdowns. If you exclude his rookie season where he only played 12 games, he only had one season with less yards and touchdowns. And he had his career best year in picks thrown, as in like he threw
And
the
just
least.
turnovers in general.
Right. Like the one thing that I hated about him was how much he turned over the ball. And I said, like, if he can figure that out, he could be really good. That's what we saw. I just didn't think it was going to happen this year. So good for Josh. I think he deserved it. I'll own that one. Can't be talking trash about Josh Allen anymore.
Yeah.
You know the other one that I found.
Is it me?
Is it you?
Yeah, is it something I said that was stupid?
No, the only other one that I found for you said Khalil Herbert was a better running back than DeAndre Swift.
That's not even that bad of a take.
It's not that bad, but it's definitely not true.
It's not that it's not true. You're right. It's not true, but it's not bad.
I mean,
DeAndre Swift
Khalil
isn't.
Herbert didn't do anything this year. He got
You're right,
traded and then wasn't used at all.
but DeAndre Swift wasn't really that good this year either.
Swift had a sneaky good season.
Nah,
He did.
nah.
He did. So I've got two more incorrect ones that I want to share just because I'll own up when I make some takes that are just incorrect, right? Jared versus another one. I
I
said
love
Jared
that
Verse was
guy.
going to be a bust. He was a defensive rookie of the year and well deserved. He looked like an absolute stud. So good for him. I apologize, Rams fans. Should have been higher on Jared Verse, I guess. Whatever. The last one, and this is the one I want to apologize for, just because this might have cost people some championships. I said Jacoby Myers is a league winner in fantasy playoffs. So to go out and get him if you can. In playoffs, the three playoff games, he scored 10.9, 6.1, and then 17-1 in the championship game. So if you got to the championship game and you ended up playing and he got you 17 points, but with a 10 point and a 6 point game, if you started him, you probably didn't make it. So my bad. I would also
Yikes.
like to point out that week 18, which most people don't play fantasy in week 18, he put up 27.3 fantasy points. So like he just saved it all for the week after fantasy was
Yeah,
over.
yeah. Let me just look at real wide receiver and how many he put up in week 18. You know it's coming. You
A
know it's
real
coming.
wide receiver, Malik Washington.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. It wasn't that good. 14 points. Malik Washington. Yep.
What if
Two
I
only.
told you that DeAndre Swift had his best year of his career?
I wouldn't believe you. He didn't do much on the lines, did he?
I really.
I mean, this is his first time actually being a starter.
He put up, he was the 19th, running back 19.
That's not that good.
No,
I'm
it's
gonna
not
be
that good,
honest.
but it was still his best year of his career.
So he's just not a good running back, is what I'm hearing.
Well, yeah, but that wasn't what I didn't say he was good. I just said he was better than Khalil Herbert. Pretty
Yeah,
low
yeah,
bar.
he is better than Khalil Herbert.
It's a pretty low bar.
Yeah, I mean, DeAndre Swift's here. Khalil Herbert's off the screen.
Yeah, just
Actually, he might be like, oh, great.
I mean, Khalil Herbert's not that good.
No, he's not. I mean, DeAndre Swift isn't that good.
No, he's not
In
good.
unison, the scale, Saquon is ceiling. If you got need to see the
Saquon
schedule.
is he does know how to play football. If don't you guys don't know, he has played it a while, couple years. Very good.
Eh, I think
Very good.
2 or 3 years, maybe.
At least two or three.
Yeah, she's all right.
I think that was fun. It was fun to go look back on our hot takes,
It
things that
was
we were just outlandish on that just didn't make sense, or things that we were really high on and people are like, ah, these guys are crazy, you're too high on them, and they actually panned out. So it makes
yeah,
you feel good when you get them right. It makes you feel like an idiot when you get
100%.
them wrong.
One thing I want to just pick your brain on real quick before we end the episode is the
Yeah,
Super
hit me.
Bowl. We talked last week. We had a huge argument about goats and coaches and stuff. I'm not going to the coaches route. We would be here for another hour.
Hmm.
We said Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
Just want a post-game interview on what we think about the GOAT debate after that Super Bowl.
Well, my what I said was that if Mahomes won,
Yeah,
then he would be the GOAT.
but now that he's lost, what do you think?
That he's
Lost in a
not
bad
the GOAT.
fashion. I'm all right. Well, my real question is Joe Montana or Patrick Mahomes?
Patrick Mahomes.
Really?
I My thing with like older players that I never got to like see, because if I got to see Joe Montana and Patrick Mahomes at like the same time, like if they're playing in the league at the same time, Joe Montana did exactly what he did, and Patrick Mahomes did exactly what he did. Like I could compare them against each other, but it's like recency biased. Like you
100%
see
agree.
Mahomes is like winning so much, and like without having seen every snap and every big game and every winning drive and every touchdown and every Super Bowl win from Joe Montana. Like I can't possibly value that compared to what I have seen. You know what I mean?
So the one thing you brought up is the record in the Super Bowl.
Hmm.
And if I don't want you even listening to the player. I obviously you're going to know based on the record, but just
Hmm.
take the player out of the equation. Would you rather be 4-0 in the Super Bowl or 3-2?
Just all time,
Yeah.
4-0 and 3-2. Obviously, I want 4-0.
Yeah. So Joe Montana is 4-0.
Right, which is incredibly impressive. But getting my whole argument with that, well, I'm not going to argue with you, but my point was if you win 4 in 5 years, that's incredibly like impressive.
The
Like that's
one
short of a period
what
of
I'm
time, you're winning
saying,
so many.
what I'm saying is based off last week is I said Tom Brady's the GOAT and Patrick Mahomes is two.
Right.
I don't agree with what I said last week. I'm saying, hey, I'm wrong last week. I don't think Patrick Mahomes was two last week. Joe Montana was two last week. And now that Patrick Mahomes lost, he didn't. If Patrick Mahomes would have won, he would have jumped Joe Montana to two. I believe Patrick Mahomes stays at three behind Joe Montana still.
Just based off Super Bowls,
Yes, I mean people base the LeBron MJ based on NBA Finals.
I don't.
I'm saying what people do, not what you
The
do.
thing is, like, championships can't be like the only thing.
I agree.
Because then, like, it's like
Mm.
I'm trying to think of an example on the spot here. Like a player that like has never been to a Super Bowl, like a Philip Rivers, if you will. Like then he shouldn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame just because he's never been to a Super Bowl. Like he's
I'm
not
not
one of the
saying
best of all
that.
time.
I
Like
mean,
that, you know what I mean?
well, like then you could go like Barry Sanders, like never won anything in the
Right.
playoffs.
Yeah, by that logic, like he wasn't good enough to get to a Super Bowl, win a Super Bowl, therefore he's not one of the best of all time.
I
You know what I
100%
mean?
agree.
Like there's a
100% agree.
fine line between productivity outside of Super Bowls and just looking at Super Bowls.
But Joe Montana also was a dog in the regular season. So I feel like in the GOAT debate, they automatically are insane in the regular season. So the best thing we have is the postseason because that's the best
Right.
competition. So that's kind of why
It's like
I'm
yeah,
basing it
winning
off
when
of
it
that.
matters, kind of.
Yeah.
Right. I get that.
So that's why I'm like comparing finals. I totally get like that argument. I agree. Barry Sanders, I think, is the best running back of all time, and he
Right.
didn't do anything in the postseason. That argument is completely valid. I'm just saying, hey, these are two guys that have been to the Super Bowl, and they're facing the best competition. So why wouldn't we look at the best when most pressure, most stuff like that?
Yeah, I can get that for sure. I would need to dive deep into Joe Montana film and watch some games and stuff like that to know how this comes up with. I don't want to. dish Joe Montana, and I don't want to take something away from Patrick Mahomes without having all the information. So I'm not going to say two or three, although I would probably put Mahomes two just because without enough knowledge on Montana, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that for sure. With that, I just want to pick your brain on that, correct what I said last week, stuff like that.
Let's start a
Um,
fight.
I was not trying to start a fight. If we wanted to fight, we could go back to Andy Reid, Sean McVay. Okay, then just putting that out there.
I'm not arguing with you on that one anymore. That was just ridiculous.
With that, season one comes to a close. Kind of sad, kind of happy. I don't
It
know.
was fun.
I'm happy for draft
It was
season, baby.
it was a great season. I had a lot. We learned a lot. I think we've gotten a lot better from our first episode. I think almost anybody
Yeah,
can probably say that.
for sure.
So I want to say thank you again to all of our listeners, the few, the many, anybody who takes their time out of their day to take a listen to us. We definitely appreciate it. So thank you guys. We're going to keep doing our thing because we enjoy this regardless of how many people are also enjoying this. So stay with us, tune in, leave us some likes if you like our stuff. Also, get in those comments, let us know, shoot us some messages on stuff you like, stuff you don't like, and just start riling up the chat.
Yeah, definitely. We're looking for ideas, whatever you want to see. We're here to show you guys what you want to see, whether it's rankings at each position, fantasy rankings, mock drafts. We could do 30 mock drafts if you guys want to see it. We'll change them all up.
We'll do
Free
some more.
agency
We'll do some more.
predictions. Well, more is coming from the Take Two podcast.
Big
Season two
things.
is on its
Big
way.
things.
Big thing. Season two is on its way. Coming next week. Can't wait to start it with you guys. We'll see you next week.
Peace out, everybody.